Let's start by introducing ourselves before we go into this info session. So welcome to the info session for the Junior and Senior Research Days. I hope you all are in the right session and you're interested in one of these days. So this will be the English speaking presentation, I would say. In 1 hour, there's also a Spanish speaking presentation by our colleagues. So you have, if you're speaking Spanish, you have 2 opportunities to join this session and learn everything you need to know about for the application of the Junior and Senior Research Days. Okay, I see there are a couple of people coming in, so I will wait maybe 1 more minute. Maybe let's start. So yeah, hello again for everyone who's here for this info session on the Junior and Senior Research Days. The aim of the session is to give you hopefully an overview of all your questions that you already raised and how you can apply and everything else which you want to know. Before we go into this detail, we want to introduce ourselves. My name is Alexandra Krumm, and together with Grace Casino Soto, we are part of the European Hub of TRAJECTS. You probably had a lot of contact with Grace already because she was answering a lot of your questions and is organizing a lot of the Junior and Senior Research Days. And we have also here Michelle present and Moya from South Africa, who is part of the South African Hub of TRAJECTS. As you also probably know, TRAJECTS is a DoD-funded climate center with the aim to support and strengthen transcontinental research, exchange and education towards a sustainable future. We do a lot of different activities like dialogues. We have an online course, but one of the key things that we do is handing out scholarships to provide an opportunity to have an intense exchange between different institutions. And that's what we are here for the Junior and Senior Research Days. And I will jump now into the presentation to give you some of the key information that you need to know. Grace and I will do like a double presentation. So I will do all the basic stuff, which is on the presentation. And then Grace will also jump in occasionally to answer some of your specific questions, which you already raised via email or some other stuff. And at the end, we also have a Q&A sessions. And I already mentioned this session will be in English. If you speak Spanish and want to learn more, there's also another session in an hour, which basically does the same, has the same format.
Before you start, Alex, hi everyone. One thing, we just want to record this session in case many people cannot join, so they can check it later. So we just want to ask your permission to record this session. If anyone has doesn't want it, just raise the hand. If not, I'm starting the recording now.
Recording in progress.
Thank you, Grace. Almost forgot about it. So let's share the presentation. Where is it? So can you see the presentation? I hope you can see it. Yes, perfect.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, perfect. So you see our nice logo. And as I said, this is the info session for the Junior and Senior Research Days for this year. So first, So first, so we have 2 different kinds of days that we are promoting. One is the Junior Research Days. The Junior Research Days, which support young researchers or practitioners with at least a bachelor degree in one of the relevant TRAJECTS topics of interest. The next slide will show you the TRAJECTS topics of interest, so we will come to that. And the other one is the Senior Research Days, which is similar, but it supports advanced PhDs or postdoctoral researchers or practitioners with a minimum of a master's degree or other postgraduate studies and over 6 years of relevant experience, also one of the TRAJECTS topics of interest. And the both stays are for a maximum amount of 3 months at an institutions of the TRAJECTS networks, specifically of the placements that you can apply for, which you see on the web page, which we also come in later. So as I mentioned, you have to be in one of the TRAJECTS topics of interest. And you can see them here. So the main objective of TRAJECTS, as mentioned, it's a climate center. So we are aiming, or the main objective is, the main focus is climate change mitigation, and the research topics are mainly fossil fuel phase-out and changes in land management and ecosystem protection. And in this figure, you can see how we conceptualize this. So there's these the innovation and exnovation topics like renewables, but also fossil fuel phase-out. And we want to promote a shift towards a fossil fuel world and also address fundamental shifts in land use and ecosystem protection like agroecology, the reduction of monocultures, etc. This is very brief. Obviously, like the specific placements give then a more specific context to what you can do during the research days. So this is just to promote what we did the last year. So the project started in 2020 and we have now 2025. So there has been a lot of junior senior research days already. I think we had a lot of good or nice experience, and we asked everyone to hand in a poster and report afterwards, which is obviously interesting for us to check how the experience was. And everything, and you can find them on the website, and you can also have a look to see what the others did, or if they also been to the institution that you are applying for, to get kind of an insight, but also obviously to connect with them if you have any questions. Grace, feel free to jump in anytime when you have something more to add. So the overall process to apply for junior and senior research days, I would say it is quite easy. So you all are here because you have seen the call on our website probably, and you need now to apply. We will show later and how this is the requirements in detail. If you're applying or if you have applied and the call is closed, we at the TRAJECTS team, including the host institution, have a selection process where we have a criteria where we decide where we select the persons to be funded. If you are funded, we then say this. We will contact you and say, congratulations, you are able to do one of the mobilities, and then there's a process of formalization. So that means a grant agreement is sending out to formalize this. Afterwards, there's the travel and stay preparation, which is mostly done by you, which includes flights, looking for accommodation, etc. We will come later to the point how we can support you with this or not. Afterwards, you travel to the host country and you start your exciting research stays, and you do the implementation and you do the work that you are agreed on with your host institutions. And afterwards, end of November, there will be the final closure and the academic report, and you have 1 month to do it. So if you are doing one of the research days, we kindly ask you to spare some time in December to finish all the formalities of the stay. So now the fun part, which is important, it is how to apply. So basically, you go to the TRAJECTS website and you find this call and opportunities sections, and you just click on it, as you can see here. And then in the calls and opportunities section, you can find the calls for application for the senior research days and the junior research days in two different files. And you can, depending on your background, you are probably more interested in one or the other one, so you can click on it to get more information. And you can get all the information when you click on either of the of the calls, and we ask you to read carefully all the info because we are trying to put everything in the information. Obviously, sometimes things are a bit lost or need clarification, but we hope that a lot of the information is in there, and you can find the files here for the call for application, the project's research topics, and also all the placements which are available for the junior, senior, respectively, research stays.
Yeah, Alex, just to mention
Yeah.
in these documents, especially the TRAJECTS placements offers, those are the ones that you should read in detail to see where your background and your knowledge is more specific to it. And also keep in mind that the placements for juniors and seniors are different. In some cases, they could be similar depending on the host institution. But this one you should read carefully to check which one you should apply, because you then should select. And also keep in mind you can apply to more than one placement, but you have to do it in different forms. So if you find that there are 3 placements for junior or senior that you could apply, feel free to do it, but for each one you have to send the form.
Thank you, Grace. Yeah, reading carefully everything is always a good way to go. So after you read everything carefully and you understood everything, you are probably ready to have all the necessary documents to apply, and you can do this here on the button. And the next slides will show you what is required for the application. Which is here. So there are different documents that you need for junior and senior research days. So first you need to fill out the online form on the TRAJECTS website, which we just showed you where to find it. You need the CV in the destination institution language, which can be a bit tricky to know, and we know this. We would say as a guideline, you can use the language in which the placement is. So in a lot of the placements in Latin America, the placement is also written in Spanish. But for example, in a lot of the placements in Germany, the placement is written in English. If you are unsure how your CV should be, you can contact either us or also the host institution. You need a copy of your diploma degree to show your degree, and a motivation letter. And this is also additional in the, as mentioned before, with the CV in the institution language. So most of the times it is the language which is also written in the placements, but obviously you can always ask your host institution which you want to go. The next points are optional, or if applicable, you need the proof of your current affiliation with the TRAJECTS network partner, if you have one. A self-declaration letter of belonging to an underrepresented group. And if applicable, some other things that are requested by the host institution, for example, proof of language skills, etc. For the senior research days, it kind of looks the same. So you need also the online form, you need a CV, and there it is important that you prove your academic qualifications, as is required at least 6 years of work experience. And you need a description of the research project that you want to do there. During your stay, you need a lot of support by the host institution, so you have to contact the host institution to ask, and probably also talk a bit about them, what you want to do. And the next points are the same as mentioned before. So proof of current affiliation to a TRAJECTS network partner, if applicable, self-declaration, letter of belonging to an underrepresented group, and also, if applicable, other documents that are requested by the host institutions. Grace, do you want to say anything to the required documents?
Yes, some things like first, check all these requirements. I try to get all the documents before you send the form, because once you send the application, you cannot edit it. So what happens is that some people send the same application in different times, but with different documents. So when we are in the evaluation process, we don't know which of the applications we should take. And sometimes people are disqualified just because of this, because all the documents are not complete. So I encourage you to have all the documents ready before starting the application process, and just send one application so we don't get lost in the evaluation process. And regarding, like, some people have asked, especially the self-declaration letter of belonging to an underrepresented group. We don't have like a specific criteria for this or a template for this, but if you are part of an underrepresented group, just state in the letter and part of these uh, groups, and you mention them, because remember, you can get additional points for this. And also a letter of support, or the letter that you belong to one of the partners. This gives you additional points, but it doesn't mean if you don't come from an institution different from TRAJECTS network, you cannot apply. You can still apply, but get less points.
Thank you, Grace. I see already a lot of questions popping up in the chat. I will just finish the presentation quickly, and then we can go to your questions. So now that you have all the required documents, interesting part is obviously funding. So what kind of allowance do you get? Which is different for junior and senior research stays. For the junior research stay, there's a monthly allowance between 500 to 1,027 euros, depending on the location of the stay. You can see them here. So in the Global North, it's 1,027 euros. In South Africa, if you stay in South Africa, it's 750, and other countries in the Global South, it's 500. For the senior research states, but larger the allowance, and depending on the location, and also the years of experience of the candidate. So if you're staying in the Global South, it's 1,100. In the North without a PhD is 1,200, and in the Global North at the postdoc level, it's 1,600. We also fund the travel cost. So we give you a refund of travel cost up to 1,500 for round trip. For travels between Latin America and South Africa, and obviously vice versa, the reimbursement can be up to 2,000 euros, as we know that those flights can be slightly higher. You need support to get a refund, and we only fund economy class travel. We also ask you to book the planes quite ahead. So we give you, once you're notified that you get the scholarship, we also give you a deadline. There's also insurance contribution for up to 53 euros a month, because it's always nice to have some insurance, and sometimes also necessary. And other conditions is that, so as I said, there will be kind of a formalization process of the stays, where we hand out a grant agreement. And in the grant agreement, it states that your scholarship is a 75% position of a full-time equivalent position. Obviously, this is also like a formalization process, and it depends between the host institution and your agreement what you're doing during the stays. And the last point is, it's a bit of a leftover of COVID days, I think. It's that we only fund physical stays and not virtual periods. So before you travel, there are some key considerations. So after we notify you that you are getting the scholarship, there will be another info session where we go more into detail in each of the steps. But we want that you know this before you apply. So for a lot of countries that you might travel to, you need a visa or residence, and we want to make sure that TRAJECTS cannot provide migratory advice, and it is responsibility of the candidate to contact the responsible authority to obtain the visa. And this is especially to each case is special, and we as a TRAJECTS don't have the capacity to know every circumstances of every country and also every connection that you're flying to. Concerning flight, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but here just to mention, most of the times you have to pay for the visa, but because this is a scholarship with DAD funding, you will get a DAD letter so you can apply and you don't have to pay any fees.
Thank you. That's very good news, I think. And so the next point of the flight tickets and insurance, I already talked a bit about this. It is necessary to book the travel tickets on your own, as well as insurance and other relevant services. We can get reimbursements, and for this you need to fill out some travel cost form and provide a copy of invoices and payment certificates. Planning accommodation, depending on the place you're going, we know that this can be quite difficult and also time consuming. Similar to the visa, we can't really help you with finding accommodation, but we recommend you to contact your host institution as soon as you're getting notified that you will be able to travel to the institution. Because maybe they know something or they can help you. And it's also always possible to contact other TRAJECTS scholarship in the past that have been at the destination city to get some tips, or maybe they have some. I think that's it. So I will close this presentation as we have now time for questions. I would just mention again the people that if you have questions after the session that you can contact. So for the Latin American hub, it's Natalie Diaz-Cruz at the Universidad Nacional de Colombia. For the South African hub, it's Michelle Present. You can see she's also in this call here. And for the TRAJECTS European hub is Grace, which Christina Soto, which has been also answering all the questions so far here. So I stop the presentation, and I would say Grace going through the chat and answer the questions there. What do you think? So I can read them out.
Yes, we can read the questions. I see that some of the questions are similar from different participants, so we are going to reply. And if someone would like to speak, please just raise the hand and we'll give you the opportunity to talk.
Yeah, we'll just maybe start with the first question and then we can see how it's going. Can you apply if your institution is not part of the TRAJECTS network? Yes, I think we mentioned it probably later in the presentation. You can apply from every institution that you're coming from. There will be kind of a system where we have to rank or select the respective students. And if you are part of the TRAJECTS network, you get more points, but that doesn't mean that you're getting only selected if you are part of the TRAJECTS network. So feel free to apply. We're always looking forward for people outside of the TRAJECTS network. So the next question is eligibility criteria. Sorry, difficult word for me. So first is candidates from which countries can apply for TRAJECTS research days. It's not specific to 3 countries. So everyone can apply. It's not it doesn't it's restrained to the 3 countries or the 3 continents. So if you're coming from India, you can always apply. The research days are like the only requirement kind of that we have, with that we only fund researchers from the global north going to the global south, and from the global south going to the global north or the global south. And this means it is important that your current affiliation, we're looking at your current affiliation, not where you're coming from, which is always a bit confusing, and we know this. So if you are from India, but you are affiliated with a university in the UK, we consider you global north. So you can't do a stay in Germany, for example. If you are from UK and you are affiliated with a university in India, you are considered global south and you can go to Germany. So we know it's a bit complicated, but we're looking at your current affiliation for this. And everyone can apply. You also independent researcher can apply, as far as I know. You just, and then obviously it's where you are at the moment, which is relevant for the application. I hope this answers your question. We can also say that at a later point it's a bit difficult to sometimes to understand where we draw the line, where you're coming from, kind of. So the next two questions. I think this one, maybe Grace, you can clarify. This is, how do we do it if we want to apply for different positions? You said we can only send one application.
No, you can send more than one applications, but in each application you have to select to which placement you are applying to. So if you want to apply to 3, you can do it, but you have to send every time a different form or a different application. So you can do it, you can apply to, and also there is a different question that if you can apply to placement only in one country, to different placements in one country, no, you can apply to the placements in Germany, if you apply in South Africa, but it also is related to what Alex just mentioned. If you have an affiliation in the global north and want to go to a placement in Germany, you are not eligible because we don't fund a north-north exchange, global south, and want to go to South Africa, or from South Africa to Colombia, or from other country in the global south, you can do it. So it doesn't matter. You just have to send different forms. If you have a master, you can apply to the junior, yes. And you can include that, like send a PDF with both degrees, bachelor and master's. The only thing is that the requirement for the bachelor is not specifically from TRAJECTS, but from other our funder, that is DAD, and the minimum should be a bachelor. That's why we always request that. However, we have had applicants who don't have a bachelor degree, but they have like a very practical long experience, and we have to evaluate these particular cases. And for that, we also have to send a request to the DAD. So the DAD, we send like all the documents and justify why a person should be eligible. And if they say yes, then you can participate in the call. So that has happened. Is not like very usual, but just for you to know and don't feel excluded to participate.
Maybe before we go, take the next question, the chat, probably pronounce it not correctly. Jibo, your hand is raised. Do you want?
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jibo. I'm from Niger Republic. I would like to find out if, for example, you are a PhD student and you have applied for the defense, and depending on the jury's decision, you don't know when are you going to defend the PhD. So, for example, how this case can be handled if, for example, the PhD can be defended before the outcome of the project result. If you can be considered as with PhD or without PhD for the stipend. Thank you.
You mean, if I understood correctly, you are just waiting for the defense and you would like to know if you could apply for the senior placement. Yes. Okay. You can do
Senior
it.
with PhD or senior without PhD.
Okay. You could apply to the senior, and please include that in the motivation letter and clarify. Okay. And add that in your application. There is a space for other documents, and in those other documents you can just state like, or add the certificate that you already handed in the your thesis, and that you are just waiting for the defense.
Okay.
And we consider this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, Linda. You're also raising your hands.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your presentation. I have one question more related to the type of funding. Reading some documents, there are two types of funding that are described there. One is of the scholarship from TRAJECTS, and another one for its allowance, like it's payment support. But for me, it's not too much clear the difference of these two profiles. And I would like to know probably which of them align better to my profile. For example, I'm working right now as a research assistant in a Germany university, but this institution is not part of the TRAJECTS network. So I don't know if I should also to write a self-declaration letter of belonging to an underrepresented group. And if I need, there is a specific structure for this.
No, like in the core, to be honest, there is not like that big difference between the scholarship and or allowance. It's just to make like the difference for those that come from universities and those more practitioners. But in the end, you will receive like the same amount of money. There is no like a big difference in the grant agreement. So that is not a problem. So you could apply. Just keep in mind, if you are now affiliated to a German institution, you cannot apply to a placement in Germany. You could only apply to placements in South Africa or Latin America.
Okay.
And regarding the letter of self-declaration of underrepresented group, as I already mentioned, you just mentioned there to which underrepresented groups you belong to, and that's it. I don't know, Michelle, if you would like to add
Yeah,
more
maybe.
here to be more clear.
Yeah,
Michelle.
I mean, because my question is more related. I'm part of the university institution in Germany. So I'm working right now in this institution. So, but the institution is not part of the TRAJECTS network. So,
Yeah, it's not a problem. As we already mentioned, you can
so
apply.
I don't need to write this self-declaration letter in this case.
Probably you're confusing things. There is one requirement, not a requirement, but if your institution belongs to the TRAJECTS network, you will get an additional point.
Yeah.
But if your institution doesn't belong to it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you cannot apply. You can
Yes,
still apply. You apply. But another thing, different thing, is the self-declaration of an underrepresented group. That's totally different, and that gives you different points. But here I give the floor to Michelle to clarify a bit more this part.
Okay, thanks, Linda. So I guess to everybody, if you're applying and your institution is not a partner of TRAJECTS, you will get lower points. So you just because we prioritize our partners and yeah, most of the people that are putting out the calls are partners, but everybody can apply. But just so. And if you need to write a letter or motivation, it's this underrepresentation is a very it's tricky, but it's how you define yourself. You may be a sort of non-binary person if you feel a non-binary people are sort of underrepresented in the world. You may be financially challenged. Yeah, I mean, because I just say, and I always use the example, you're from the African continent, then you're not underrepresented because most people on the African continent are African and or Black. So, but if there's specific elements that you want to, let us know about some kind of difficulty or challenge, as I said, with your finances. So it will be up to you how you define yourself as unrepresented. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I tried to answer some of the questions already in the chat. So there was one question if the Bio1 experience has to be in research project or professional experience. It can be both, as we're targeting academics, but also practitioners, not? Yeah, Michelle.
Because sometimes we get people that have zero research experience, and they apply and they may be in HR, project management, or something. They just so firstly, your application will be according to the call, and most calls require, I think, some piece of research. So research experience would be important. Then number two is if maybe the call wants more a project management person or something, then that's obviously appropriate. But if your professional experience, is in the field of climate, energy, and sustainability, and you have research components, that that would be useful. I just want to say, like, we have got sometimes previously that someone is managing, make up an example, like the water system in the in a factory or something. But so so I think so it's all you will look at the call, and the call determine the requirements.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's obviously like you should be specific to the call or to the placement that we're applying to. Thank you, Michelle. So there are a couple of questions by Janet. So is it possible to apply for more than 2 placements from different regions or the same region? Yes, I think we already clarified this. The second question, I have more than 5 years of general professional experience with a few years in research, and most of them public-private companies. Would it be eligible to apply for a senior research stay? The criteria is 5 years. I think we have 6 years. Michelle.
A PhD is important. So if you have a PhD, that helps. Yeah.
Like if it's on the line, I would say you can also contact us after the info session for another time. If it's like if you have 5.5 years, for example, experience or something. If it's a bit, don't want to be too strict, but we need to have some guidelines and rules. But I guess you can, write us an email if it's really that if you're on the edge and aren't certain. I think then we can also clarify this. So the next question is regarding the motivation letter and the language of the host institution. How many pages should it be, and what key elements should it include? So I think for the senior we said it should be 5 for the research proposal, and for the juniors it kind of also depends on you. I would say like 1 to 2 pages are normal, I would say, and there's not a guideline what it should include. You can also contact your host institution and ask them what they would like to have in this motivation letter, because at the end they are also doing the evaluation, they are inviting, so if you are unsure what to include, this would it. Otherwise I would say like a cover letter, which you sometimes also have to do to apply for a job, is a good guideline to state your motivation, your experience, and why you are a good why are a good candidate for that. But always, I think with a lot of these points, either like contact us, but if it's very specific to the host and the requirements they want, you can always ask the host institutions if you're unsure with something. And the last point is for the letter of self-declaration as a member of an underrepresented group. How can I determine if this applies to me? I think that's a thing that also Michelle mentioned.
Yes, so you can continue to the question.
So from Fanny, probably pronounced it all a bit wrong. So there's a question, is it a mandatory requirement for institutions to submit applications? If the University of Lubumbashi is not a member of the TRAJECTS network, do I still have a chance of having my application considered? Yes, I think that's already been mentioned. It's just you get more points if you are part of the TRAJECTS network, but we welcome really everyone to apply. We have a system and it's one criteria where you then get more points, but please apply also if you're not part of the TRAJECTS network. Regarding the motivation letter, should it be limited to one page or is it acceptable to provide a more detailed letter? It's not limited to one page, but I would encourage you to limit yourself to maybe pages to make it quick. Just like when you're applying to a job, everyone's always happy to have like quick and dirty letters where all the information is stated in and why you are qualified for this position or why you are a good candidate, so to say. So there was a question if you can share, if you share this recording. Yes, we do. And then I have a question by Sandra. The first question, I'm currently enrolled as a master's student and will be finished by June. Can I apply with this status? Yes. The minimum required is a bachelor degree, so you can just apply for a junior position. The second is if you can apply for a junior, stay in Berlin if you already live in Germany. No, I think that's the thing that we tried to explain before, and so we don't fund Global North, that changes. So even if you are from a country in the Global South, but you are affiliated with an institution in Germany with the Global North, you can't apply for a stay in Berlin. So this would be unfortunately not possible.
But the way I understand the question, and Sandra, feel free to open up your mic, is that she already lived here, but if you have a different affiliation, a current affiliation in an institution in the Global South, and you lived here before, you can still apply. But if your current affiliation is with a German institution, you cannot apply to a placement here in Germany, but you could apply to a placement in Latin America or South Africa. And regarding the last question, you had a DAD scholarship, and you can still apply because like the only mandatory thing from the DAD is that you don't get double funding. But if your scholarship already finished, you can apply to the TRAJECTS one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, my second question was more in the first direction because I still live here in Germany. I haven't finished my master's, so yeah, I understand I cannot apply. But thank you very much.
But you are you can apply to any other placement in the Global South.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's
Right.
nice.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So there's another question by Penone. And it is that his degree does not fully align with the themes of TRAJECTS, but he's transitioning to a new career path in his current master program, which is more directly linked to the TRAJECTS topics. So can you still apply with a degree? I would say this is this is a special case, but I would say you can still apply. Maybe indicate it somewhere where you are currently at, and this is, and you can indicate this also in the motivation letter. It shouldn't be a problem. So by Laura, can you please clarify the independent researcher thing? So if you could have an affiliation to a member who is not a member. Yes, kind of. So if you can be like an independent researcher, then you just don't get points to be within the TRAJECTS network, but you also can still apply. Just you don't get like an extra tick, I would say. But it is completely open to apply. Michelle?
So yes, so just to say, if you're a consultant, independent researcher, I mean, you can apply, but you're not really. It's not really our category. We want to support young researchers, but that's finish their degrees and affiliated to some sort of organization. Just saying an affiliation to an organization in our field. Whether it's a member of TRAJECTS or not, is more, I guess, beneficial. But we will look at the application, but we put a bit of question marks because we're not, we're not really supporting, independent consultant, if that's the situation. I'm not saying, but yes, people that are linked to university, just came out, linked to organization, building their careers in a way. I should just say.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, at the end you can always apply, but then it is that we have to make some kind of selection. And obviously there's some criteria can play a role, and this may be one of the criteria, same with the TRAJECTS network or underrepresented group. But it doesn't mean that if you're not have a tick in one of these boxes that you can't be selected. Just I mean the way scholarships work. So the second question, I think I need help from Michelle and Grace for this one. If you apply with an organization who is not a member, which type of document do you need to submit to verify that you are a member? Also, is it optional that some members do not actively request this? I don't really understand it, but as I say, you kind of apply, like if it is the question if you have to be a member or not, no. You can apply, and the things that Michelle just said before. Also, I think apply here. If not, just raise your hand or write another question in the chat if we completely misunderstood this question. Okay, the next one, I already answered this one. Okay, then another question by Laura. No, sorry, my chat is a bit lost. From Sandra, regarding the recommendation letter, should they be from researchers or academic recommendations or from previous employee? This, you mean the letter of support?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. This should be by the host institution.
Okay.
So we ask you to contact the host institution, and they then send you a letter, which is also good to get in contact with the host institution before you apply, but maybe you get some hints on what they are specifically looking for.
All right, thank you.
So Carolina, which is an interesting question. Is chairability is from June to the end of August, and she would like to know if this time frame is compatible with the research stay. Thank you, Sandy. You already answered this. So your research stay, like the optimal would be 3 months, because we are experiencing that this is a good time frame to make some kind of connection and to settle in, to get into a working mood. So we prefer stays who stay this whole period, and the stay has to end of November. But obviously, if it's not available due to your timeline, you can apply with a different availability. But just as you mentioned before, at the end we have to do some kind of evaluation. We have to select some people. So it can happen, and this maybe is a criteria really don't get a full tick, kind of, but you can apply. And I think if you can also contact your host institution if this would be completely no-go for them or whatever, and also contact us. It's just important that your research stay ends end of November.
Yeah, it mostly depends on the host institution more than us. So in this case, you should contact them, because it could happen that the person that is going to be in charge or your host in that institution will be on holidays in that period. So probably they are not hosting in July or the specific time you need. So it's more about contacting the host institution to clarify these kind of questions, and it's very specific to the placement.
It always comes back to contacting the host institution, I guess, with a lot of those specific requests, because they are the ones which are hosting you, which are like in charge, kind of people which are supporting you, so they can say the best and how far they can do their job best. So Carolina, that's already answered by Sandy. Thank you. Okay. So we Fanona would like to understand a bit better this underrepresented group. As we mentioned, I think this is like the criteria. Michelle explained it. If Grace or you, Michelle, if you want to say a bit more about this, what is needed to be a part of the underrepresented group. We also know that it's very person specific.
I mean, just to repeat in 30 seconds because we have the next meeting. So, underrepresentation will have to be something that you kind of, personally decide or define. You may be a sexual orientation underrepresented. You may be, financially, having financially difficulties, and that, lessons opportunities for, for travel universities or so. Yeah, but it's not just aspects of, and if you're living in Latin America, perhaps you are indigenous, and indigenous peoples were mostly wiped out by the colonists. So, but if you're on the African continent, you're not underrepresented if you're Black, because we are a Black continent. So so it's something that you'll have to personally define in your application. I mean, it's also not compulsory, but it's something you will have to decide that you want to give us a bit of information about your perspective on this category.
Thank you. Yes, we have a couple more minutes, so we will finish with the last question by Isabel. Yes, if you're from the global north, that's the north. Yeah.
But just one clarification: you should be from a different institution.
Yeah.
For instance, if you are applying to a placement in Universidad Nacional de Colombia and you are from Universidad Nacional de Colombia, you cannot apply. But if you are from a different institution, you can apply in your own country.
And if it's mandatory to stay at the host institution, I mean, this is also an agreement which you have to do between your host institution. The grant agreement that we hand out is this 75 positions. In our mind, this is what you do there, but at the end, it's between you and the host institution. I don't know. Traveling or have some stays somewhere else, but you should be at the host institution. That's what the scholarship is for, to have a deeper connection.
Yes, remember that we don't fund virtual stays.
Yeah.
You have to travel to the country, and you can agree with the host institution if you can stay there or probably work in a couple of days from a different place. But ideally, you should be in the place or city of the institution, and we prefer those stays that are 3 months, but in some cases we also understand that there are people that cannot get like the permission from their work or something to stay 3 months. But candidates that can stay the full 3 months are like have more chances to say so. We are running out of time because we're about to start the Spanish info session. So feel free to send us an email if you have further questions to Michelle in South Africa, to Natalie in Latam, and Alex and me in EUHAF. And also remember to contact the hosting institution if you have very specific questions regarding the placement.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being. We hope it was okay and we could clarify some of the things. Thank you, Grace and Michelle, for answering all the questions. Yeah, please feel free to contact. If you want to have more information and can speak Spanish, you're welcome to join the next session where you can get everything explained in Spanish. And yeah, we're looking forward to your applications, and we fingers crossed for everything, and let us know if there are any questions. And we will share, like you can find everything on our website, or we share this, we share everything. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Recording stopped.